Welcome in everybody to the playoff edition of fantasy football for down the field. I'm your host, Rob Young Bob Anderson, without Jeremy Whalen today, who I think is still nursing not getting a running back to try to make the playoffs. Uh, Little recap of last week. We had a lot of seeding battles going on. Ultimately, Adam hung on to the eighth seed. Bird, Jim, and yeah, they made the playoffs. Jeremy did not do what he had to do to acquire a playoff seed. He fell to 5-9. His uh, his stretch down the run there was impressive, but ultimately, when you start 1-7, hard to come back from. So let's go into the first matchup that we're going to discuss. It's my matchup against Shane. Shane winners of four of the last five, and I have dropped four of my last five. This is going to be a tight matchup, I think, compared to the other matchups that we have in the first round. Let's go down the rosters here. I'd rather have Goff over Kyler. Not, like I've always said, I'm not a big fan of Kyler. Sometimes he proves me wrong, but I just hate him. He's a midget. Goff on that high-powered offense at home in a high-scoring game. I'm going to go Goff. Henry over Tracy. Tracy's matchup against the Ravens on paper is terrible, and the game script isn't going to be in his favor. While Henry is going to run wild and probably get two touchdowns, I'm going Henry. Garendo on Thursday night got Shane 11.5 points. Montgomery today is going to surpass that comfortably. I made a mistake. Hope it doesn't bite me in the butt. I've been waiting for Coleman to come back. He got back before this matchup against Detroit, where it's going to be a lot of points. I thought I subbed Debo out. I did that for my other league. It was a bonehead move. Obviously, I'm picking Chase there. Uh, Jefferson against Neighbors. I like Jefferson to go off in this one. He's starting to get it going. Chicago is pretty good against receivers. However, he is going to have a lot of opportunities. Chicago is probably going to start folding. Their season's coming to an end. So I'm going Jefferson. Plus, you got Tommy DeVito at quarterback for the Giants. At tight end, he had Kittle go for 10 points. I'm subbing in Henry this week because Njoku got knocked out last week with a hamstring injury. He is going to be inactive today. However, Henry has gotten, let's see, these are his last four of his last five games: 8 targets, 4 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets. I am going to go with Henry in that matchup. I think he'll get more than 10 points, so I'm going Henry. McLaurin and Taylor, I think this is where our matchup could be won. If Taylor gives me a decent day running the football, catching balls out of the backfield, um, I like his chances to win that matchup. But McLaurin has been a beast. So I'm going to say McLaurin slightly edging Taylor in that one. Minnesota's defense against Chicago or Denver against Indianapolis for me. Denver's defense has been number one in the league. They play a too high safety. It's going to make Richardson difficult to throw balls. He doesn't throw accurate balls. It's December in Denver. I like Denver's defense there. Probably getting a couple interceptions on Richardson. And then Boswell against Philly and Koo against the Raiders. That's a toss up again, but Boswell is the number one kicker in football for a reason. I'm going Boswell. So when I chalk it up, I like the majority of my side more than Shane's, and let's face it, I'm not picking me. It's the first round of the playoffs. Shane has had a pretty decent year. Just like Jeremy, he um, never really solidified his running back issues that he's had all year, and that's going to end up biting him in the ass today. I'm going to go with me in this matchup, and I advance. Next matchup that I'm going to talk about is Adam versus Jeff. Adam only got 4 points with Purdy on Thursday night. I was going to pick Jeff anyway. But yeah, that really hurt Adams' chances. But yeah, going through the lineups, Hurts over Purdy, obviously. I like Bijan over Chase Brown, Achan over Hubbard, Nico and Mike Evans, toss up. Higgins, Shakir. I'm going to go with Shakir in that one, but that's another toss up. Kraft or Schultz. You never know what's going to happen there. Toss up. Pollard or Pacheco. I don't really think it's Pacheco's year. I could be wrong, but just coming back from an injury like that, Pollard is officially active today against Cincinnati. I see him having a good day. Uh, Green Bay defense against Philly. I'm going to go with Philly's defense against Pittsburgh over Green Bay. Uh, home game or yeah, home game against Pittsburgh. Defense has been playing great. I think Philly's a Super Bowl contender. I can't say the same about Pittsburgh. So I'm gonna go with the Eagles there, and yeah, I'm going Jake Bates over Sanders. But when it comes down to it, there's too many big matchups going in favor for Jeff. He's been crushing people all year, and he's going to get the win today and advance. Next matchup we're going to discuss is Drew taking on Bird. Bird, I know, still has Ken Walker in his lineup. He will probably sub it out, and he'll probably put in, I don't know, he'll probably put in either McIntosh or Mostert. Either way, when you look across, it's going to be up against Charbonnet. I'm taking Charbonnet. I'm going to take Gibbs over Mixon. I'm going to take Lamar versus Burrow. That's a doozy. Um, I'm going to go with Lamar. He's playing the Giants for crying out loud. AJ Brown against Drake London. I wonder if Brown's going to start getting targets and get the ball, but let's get nothing mistaken. Philly wants to run the ball too. They are. I think Brown will have a better day, but yeah, I don't know if it'll be enough to overtake Drake London. I think it might be a Drake London game. Addison's been tearing it up. That's a duel against DJ Moore and Monday night. I'm going to take Addison. McBride's a beast. I'm taking him over Jake Ferguson. Jacoby Myers against Brian Thomas Jr. Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be going up against a tough secondary for the Jets, whereas Jacoby Myers is going to be in a game against the Falcons defense where I think he'll get fed often, and he'll benefit Drew nicely there. Chicago against at Minnesota and Cincinnati at Tennessee. I don't like either one of these defenses, but I will take Cincinnati there. Lastly, but not least, most certainly, as kickers do play a viable role in these playoff matchups, you got Jake Elliott going against Pittsburgh and Dicker the kicker going up against Tampa Bay. I'll go with Dicker the kicker there. Ultimately, Drew's team, too much for Bird, and Drew's going to advance. That brings us to our last matchup. It's What the Hill against Ask Me About My Albatross. I'd rather not. Uh, However, let's break this down. Sam Darnold against Josh Allen. Josh Allen said he had the most points of any quarterback in fantasy football history last week. I think he did it 1 week too soon. Give me Sam Darnold. I think he's going to connect for a couple touchdown passes, and I think the Lions defense will not bottle up Josh Allen. Obviously, Josh Allen will still have a nice day, but I think Sam Darnold's in for a good one. Give me Darnold there. James Conner against Aaron Jones. That's another tough matchup. I'm going to go with James Conner at home. Barkley against Brees Hall. This is where Jim's kind of pulling his hair out a little bit because Brees Hall, who's been questionable all week, just got officially activated. Last week, Jim used Isaiah Davis nicely to fill in for him, and it worked out in his behalf. I'd be nervous starting Brees Hall, even though it's a plus matchup, just because you don't know if he's going to be limited. It'd be much easier if he just was ruled inactive, so Jim could just roll out Davis again. But I'm gonna go with Barkley. Tyreek over CD. I'm going Tyreek. Devontae Adams or Zay Flowers. I think game script is going to be running the football for the Ravens. So I'm going to go Devontae there. Jonnu Smith or Brock Bowers. Obviously, I'm going to go Bowers, but John Smith has been a nice addition to Jim's squad, but Brock Bowers is a beast. So I'm going to go with him. Marvin Harrison Jr. Going up against Elijah Moore. Uh, it's tough. Harrison hasn't been who I thought he was going to be. So I'll give the nod to Elijah Moore there. Arizona's defense at home against the Patriots or Baltimore's defense against the Giants. Yeah, I'm going Baltimore defense there. Moody already went for Jack, getting him 9 points. And Aubrey hasn't really been the same story with him this year. He's been injured. Dallas offense hasn't been all that great for the majority of the year anyway. I'm going to say Moody probably edges him by a point or so, but it's a toss up. So when I break this down, this is going to be a tough matchup to predict here. Those 3 points could really come in favor for Jack. But I think it's going to be Jim pulling the upset. You got to have a upset in the first round. I think Jim is going to get it here. He's got to have a big game from Darnold, though. He's got to have that Lions defense bottle up Josh Allen as best they can. But yeah, I'm going to go with Jim. I just hope Brees Hall it doesn't bite him in the butt. And I have Jim advancing. And if that does happen, it would be, let me pull up the playoff bracket here. It would be me versus Jeff, Jim versus Drew. So yeah, it's high quality matchups moving forward. It's the playoffs. And that's going to wrap it up for this week of Four Down the Field podcast.